I express our firm condemnation for the massacre of the girls that occurred at the Minab school in southern Iran, our solidarity with the families of the very young victims, and the request that those responsible for this tragedy be quickly identified.
The attack in the city of Minab has triggered shock across the world, with disturbing footage of the explosion now circulating online. As investigations continue into who launched the deadly missile, Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni has issued a strong condemnation, while firmly ruling out joining any military escalation against Iran. Speaking in Rome, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni strongly denounced the attack on the school. She described the incident as a massacre of young girls and expressed solidarity with the families of the victims. Meloni also demanded that those responsible for the tragedy be identified and held accountable as quickly as possible. At the same time, the Italian leader made it clear that Rome would not join any US or Israeli military action against Iran.
This is the current crisis context of the international system opposing sekerase e karim tebazista. I apologize, it is in this context of the international system's current crisis in which threats are becoming increasingly terrifying and multiplying. Unilateral interventions carried out beyond the established framework of international law, among which we must also include the American and Israeli intervention against the Iranian regime. An intervention in which, let me be clear right away, Italy does not intend to take part. An escalation, a military escalation that Italy in recent months has instead committed to avoiding, together with nations like Oman and Qatar. I recall that on two separate occasions we hosted in Rome the negotiations regarding the nuclear program, and that from the very beginning we have supported every single facilitation effort that was being carried out. For a long time we also maintained an open communication channel with Tehran, underlining the urgency of an agreement that would ensure the exclusively civilian nature of the Iranian nuclear program. In this instance as well, I am of the opinion that we cannot possibly avoid questioning the underlying reasons why an arrangement of this nature has not been shown to be feasible. Because while on the one hand, the Iranian leadership has always denied its intention to develop a nuclear weapon, on the other hand, the Islamic Republic, as reported by Rafael Grossi, the director of the United Nations Atomic Agency, continues to enrich uranium to a purity of 60%, a level that any expert in the field is acknowledged to be significantly higher than what is necessary for civilian nuclear purposes and very close to what is required to produce an atomic bomb. Something very different, for example, from the agreement signed between the United Arab Emirates and the United States, which stipulates the Emirati side's renunciation of uranium enrichment in exchange for American cooperation in the development of their civilian nuclear power program. A situation, therefore, that could not fail to cause serious concern, because I hope it is clear to everyone in this chamber that we simply cannot afford an Ayatollah regime in possession of nuclear weapons, especially when coupled with a missile capability that could soon be able to directly strike Italy and Europe. Even more concerningly, this scenario would signify the complete collapse of the international non-proliferation framework and would inevitably trigger a nuclear arms race, which would have truly dramatic and far-reaching repercussions for global security. It is imperative that we work diligently on the diplomatic front to determine if and when there might still be viable opportunities for a return to diplomatic engagement. However, that's a goal which is certainly impossible to achieve as long as Iran continues with its unjustified attacks against the Gulf states and other countries throughout the region. But we also intend to make our voice heard so that as military actions by the United States and Israel continue aimed at neutralizing Iranian military capability, the safety of civilians, especially children, is preserved. For this reason, on behalf of the government, I express our firm condemnation for the massacre of the girls that occurred at the Minab school in southern Iran, our solidarity with the families of the very young victims, and the request that those responsible for this tragedy be quickly identified.
The deadly suspected American strike hit near the Shajareh Tayyib Girls Elementary School in Minab, a city in southern Iran, on February 28th. Nearly 170 people were killed in the blast, many of them schoolgirls, making it one of the deadliest incidents in the region's recent tensions. The moment of the explosion was captured in dramatic footage that quickly spread across social media and international news platforms. The video appears to show a missile striking close to the school building before a massive blast engulfs the surrounding area. Several media organizations later verified the footage and identified the weapon used as a Tomahawk missile, a type commonly deployed by the US military. Iran has directly blamed the United States and Israel for the devastating attack. However, Israel says it is not aware of any military operations conducted in the area at the time of the strike. Meanwhile, US officials say investigations are still ongoing to determine exactly what happened. American media reports suggest that the intended target of the strike may have been a nearby Iranian naval facility rather than the school itself.
Footage that showed that an American missile strike and a Tomahawk missile likely destroyed that Iranian girls' school. So will the U.S. accept any responsibility
Well, I
for
haven't
that strike?
seen it, and I will say that the Tomahawk, which is one of the most powerful weapons around, is used by, is sold and used by other countries, you know that. And whether it's Iran, who also has some Tomahawks, I wish they had more, but whether it's Iran or somebody else, the fact that a Tomahawk is very generic, it's sold to other countries, but that's being investigated right now.
The White House said on Tuesday that U.S. President Donald Trump would accept the findings of an ongoing American investigation into the attack.
Did the United States airstrike a girls' elementary school and kill 175 people?
Not that we know of, Sean, and the Department of War is investigating this matter, and I would just tell you very strongly, the United States of America does not target civilians, unlike the rogue Iranian regime that targets civilians, that kills children, that has killed thousands of their own people in the past several weeks, and uses propaganda quite effectively, and unfortunately many people in this room have fallen for that propaganda. So I would caution you from pointing the finger at the United States of America when it comes to targeting civilians, because that's not something that these armed forces do.
News never stops. The world keeps turning, and every turn tells a story. Wars, elections, geopolitics, Davids versus Goliaths.
While everyone is celebrating the US-China trade talk, Trump has been quietly doing something else across Asia.
These were once home to the ancient Silk Road connecting east and west.
But who's connecting the dots? Who's decoding the global storm? Welcome to Times of India videos.
You're watching a special edition of Global Pulse with me, Neha Khanna.
בהנחיה שלי ושל שר הביטחון ישראל כץ.
Durante este año,
We decode the shifting grains of geopolitics to you. From Washington to Wuhan.
Встановлені домовленості і сьогодні підписуються.
Everything, everywhere, all at once.
Just 2 years ago, Canada was one of the most popular countries for Indian students.
From Davos to Delhi, we track the decisions that move markets, shift policies, and shape the future. No jargon, no bias, just clear, credible, global journalism. Because understanding the world doesn't have to be complicated, it just has to be smart. And that's what we do best. At Times of India videos, we don't just tell stories, we build perspective. We connect the dots between what's global and what's personal, what's happening out there, and what it means for you. It's fast. It's fearless. It's making sense of the changing world order. Times of India videos. Because your worldview is just a tap away.